And we're back. Our guest for this segment is Toni McGee, Alzheimer's Association Oklahoma chapter and Director of Development, who's going to fill us in on a big event coming up that is an annual event that benefits the association. Toni, good to have you.
Hey, thanks for having me.
A little bit about the disease first. I'm sure most folks are familiar. Has there been any progress toward a cure?
Well, think about the research that we're doing right now. It really was science fiction 15 years ago. So we know more about the disease and the causes of it than we ever have before. We are hoping for a cure by 2025, but I don't see that that could happen. If they do have a cure, it'll be a cocktail of drugs that work for different people different ways. Right now, the focus really is prevention. We've found that the brain changes start much earlier than the cognitive decline. And so now we know that what's good for the heart is good for the head. We know that there are action steps that you can take to make sure that your brain is healthy longer into your life.
And we know everything there is to know about the brain already, don't we?
Oh, no. Oh, no. It may be years yet before we know that. It was only since 2012 that we could actually see Alzheimer's in a living brain. Prior to that, everything that we did was post-mortem. And so the research has moved forward very quickly simply because we're able to watch it. And now we're able to see whether it's Alzheimer's or other forms of dementia like Lewy bodies dementia or Parkinson's dementia, different things that would changes in the brain that mimic the same cognitive decline, but they aren't Alzheimer's disease.
You know, I worry. We have so many children in this part of the world, I'm sure it's this way across the country, into soccer. And I worry about headers, the headers they take. I worry about blows to the head, young kids in football who get hit repeatedly, guys, and now some young women are playing football. Do we have anything to track down? Do blows to the head exacerbate the rate at which someone might develop Alzheimer's?
Any injury to the brain would render it less capable of fighting the disease itself. You know, if you think about diabetes or heart disease or a blow to the head or even hearing loss, those are things that would make the brain more susceptible to falling into Alzheimer's disease or other dementia.
You know, I've always been fascinated by, and I'm sure you'll know what I'm talking about, there are folks who will suffer a blow to the head, and they're in a coma, or they're unconscious for a period of time. When they come back, lo and behold, they can play the piano. Or they can, I don't know, learn a foreign language in a week, which some researchers say it's just another indication that there's so much we don't know about what's going on between our ears and behind our eyes that, you know, it's something, the neurons started to fire because of that accident. Which, don't sit around with a hammer and beat on yourself because, come on.
It won't help.
I have friends that'll do that. They're kind of backward, but anyway. So there's so many fascinating things out there, and there's no cure at this point.
We have no cure.
I would be negligent if I did not bring this up. What I mentioned to you earlier, when I hear of a physician that will say, take this medication because while it won't cure it, it will hold it at bay. What are your thoughts?
It really doesn't. You know, a lot of those drugs that they have right now are old drugs. They've been around for quite a long time now. And they actually help some of the symptoms some of the time in some people. And so they don't really hold anything at bay. They don't touch the disease itself. They're only touching the symptoms. We don't have a drug yet that touches the disease. that will stop it or change the way that the disease progresses. These are just symptom placement drugs that will help you in some areas. And they don't work for some people.
You know, that
at all.
seems terribly cruel
Yes.
to do that to someone.
Yes. And if you look at the advertisements right now, there's vitamins and supplements and all kinds
Sure.
of things that, you know, the person who figures out how to stop Alzheimer's disease is going to be rich. But that's a place right now that everyone's trying to jump into is brain health. And so it's very interesting what people, companies come out with and say, this will work. It might not.
Where is the majority of the research on Alzheimer's taking place?
We have research happens all over the world. The sun never sets on research right now. But one of the things that we're really looking at right now is prevention. So how can you prevent this? How can you keep your brain healthier? What can you do with your blood pressure or your eating habits or your lifestyle? So there's research going on, and the Alzheimer's Association is fortunate to be able to fund international research. We don't care where the cure comes from. We
long
just
as
want a
we get it.
cure.
Sure.
And so one of the things that we do with our research is if we give a research grant, we ask that they share their information into a portal with other scientists.
So everybody has access.
Everyone has access. And so that really has moved the research forward very quickly, simply because we're not reinventing the same wheel over and over and over.
Which brings us to the walk.
Which brings us to the walk.
The walk for Alzheimer's
Walk to end
research.
Alzheimer's.
How does it work and when and where?
So it's on September 21st in Tulsa at the Veterans Park. We have 7, there it is. So we have 7 walks in Oklahoma. If you can't come to the Tulsa walk and you want to attend a walk, you can go to other walks across the state. But this walk, our Tulsa walk, is one of the top 15 walks in the whole United States. There's over 600 walks. Last year we were number 13. And so it's really fun for families to come. We have people there who have the disease. It's about 1.5 miles, but we have a short route for older people who don't want to take the whole mile. And they bring families. We see whole companies come out. Once companies find out about it, they realize how many people inside their own hallways are affected. And so it's a fun disease. It's a fun event to celebrate this
I have a
disease.
connection with that walk. My younger daughter, who works for Channel 8, Neely, was there last year, and
She has been our MC.
and she's roped me into coming this year. So she and I are going to be out there stomping the grounds, and my
You'll
wife.
have a great time.
So how does it? What do? You go out and you get people to donate money for?
So we're raising money right now. If you haven't registered, you can register at tulsawalk.org. Register. We encourage everyone to raise $100. That's how they get their walk t-shirt for the year. And then if you raise $500, you get a cowbell. And so I earned my cowbell yesterday, just so you know. And so because everybody wants their cowbell.
More cowbell.
More cowbell,
More
yes.
cowbell.
Well, because we want this to be the loudest walk ever.
Yeah.
The more people that have a cowbell, the louder it will be. And so it's really exciting. We have huge cowbells at the end. And so we're raising money right now. And then we'll raise money a little until the end of the year. We hope to get $1 million right now before the walk, but we hope to end the year at 1.25 million.
Well, I'm sure Neely told you we have the disease in our family, and or have had it in our family. They've passed on, but we have seen what it can do up close and personal. And I have friends right now going through it, and it's very difficult to watch a friend whose spouse no longer has any recognition of their loved one, and it just is a heartbreaker.
Oh, it's
And
devastating
they have to
families.
put that person in a place where they can be cared for properly.
Most of the work that we do in the state of Oklahoma is to help those caregivers. 30% of caregivers die before the person who has the disease because of the stress of caregiving
Sure.
alone. And so we have a 1-800 number that they can call 24/7. We have on-the-ground people who can meet with them and talk through the family to get them on the same page of a care plan. If there's any dysfunction in the family beforehand, this does not help it. And so we have counselors who actually work with the families. And so we're able to help the families move through it, help them to understand what they're dealing
I've
with.
got 30 seconds.
Okay.
Tell them again how to register and where and when.
Registered at tulsawalk.org. The walk is September 21st. If you can't walk, you can be a virtual walker, raise money.
Toni, thank you.
Thank you.
And I hope we do some good this year.
We will.
All right. I got to get me a cowbell. Hang it from my rear view mirror.
That's right.
All right, coming up, Tulsa is well represented in a number of art forms. Today we take a look at one of them right after this.